The NBA trade rumor landscape is shifting once again, and one of the most intriguing storylines gaining quiet momentum involves the Sacramento Kings and J.A. Morant. While much of the league's attention has focused on the usual big-market suspects, multiple league sources suggest Sacramento is still lurking in the background, waiting patiently to pounce if the right opportunity presents itself. And the key that could unlock everything? DeMar DeRozan. The Kings front office has remained publicly calm, but behind the scenes, there's a growing sense that Sacramento is preparing for a bold pivot. After breaking their playoff drought and re-establishing relevance, the Kings are no longer satisfied with simply being competitive. They want legitimacy. They want staying power. And they want a true superstar who can elevate them from a feel-good story into a real Western Conference threat. That's where J.A. Morant enters the conversation. Morant remains one of the league's most explosive and polarizing stars. When healthy and locked in, he's a franchise-altering talent, a guard who can bend defenses, electrify arenas, and completely change the pace of a game. The Grizzlies, however, continue to face difficult questions about long-term direction, culture, and roster construction. Even as Memphis insists Morant is central to their future, league executives know that if the right offer comes along, everything must at least be considered. Sacramento, interestingly enough, believes they may have the type of package that could force Memphis to listen. The centerpiece of that potential deal is DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan's arrival in Sacramento was initially viewed as a win-now move, a stabilizing veteran presence who could bring playoff experience and late-game scoring to a young, energetic roster. But in the cold calculus of the NBA trade market, DeRozan also represents something else, a proven, reliable star with immediate impact value. From Memphis' perspective, that matters. If the Grizzlies were to move Morant, they wouldn't be looking to bottom out. They'd want competitiveness, leadership, and a player who could help maintain credibility with fans and the locker room. DeRozan fits that description perfectly. He's a polished scorer, a respected veteran, and someone who could ease the transition if Memphis decides to reshape its identity. Beyond DeRozan, Sacramento can sweeten the pot with young players, expiring contracts, and valuable draft capital. The Kings quietly control more flexibility than many realize, and they've been careful not to overextend themselves in previous deals. That patience could now pay off. But make no mistake, this would be a franchise-defining gamble for Sacramento. J.A. Morant would instantly become the face of the Kings. His speed, explosiveness, and fearless style would pair intriguingly with De'Aaron Fox, or potentially replace him depending on how negotiations unfold. That's the uncomfortable part of this rumor. A Morant trade would almost certainly force Sacramento to make hard choices about its core. Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and Keegan Murray have formed the backbone of the Kings' resurgence. Breaking up that chemistry carries serious risk. Yet in today's NBA, teams rarely win championships without a transcendent star. Sacramento knows this. And they also know opportunities like this don't come around often. From Memphis' side, the calculus is equally complex. Trading Morant would signal a shift, not necessarily a rebuild, but a reorientation. With injuries, suspensions, and uneven availability disrupting continuity, the Grizzlies may eventually decide that spreading value across multiple pieces is the smarter long-term play. A DeRozan-led package could help them stay competitive while reshaping the locker room dynamic. Still, there's internal resistance. Morant's upside is undeniable, and moving a player of his caliber always carries the risk of watching him thrive elsewhere. That's why Memphis would only engage if the offer is overwhelming, not just fair, but impossible to ignore. And that's where Sacramento's patience becomes their biggest asset. The Kings don't need to rush. They can wait for the market to shift, for pressure to build, and for Memphis to reassess its options. By staying just outside the spotlight, Sacramento avoids bidding wars while positioning itself as a serious, prepared suitor if circumstances change. League insiders describe the Kings as ready but quiet, a team monitoring every development while keeping their assets intact. That approach contrasts sharply with franchises that leak interest aggressively. Sacramento understands leverage and timing. For the fans, the idea of J.A. Morant in a Kings uniform feels almost surreal. This is a franchise that spent years on the outside looking in, searching for relevance. Now, they're being mentioned in the same breath as superstar sweepstakes. That alone signals how far the organization has come. But whether this rumor becomes reality depends on one question: does the DeMar DeRozan package truly appeal to Memphis? If the answer is yes, everything changes. The Kings would instantly become one of the most fascinating teams in the NBA, explosive, unpredictable, and must-watch. Memphis, meanwhile, would begin a new chapter built around balance, leadership, and long-term flexibility. For now, it's all speculation. But in the NBA, today's whispers often become tomorrow's headlines. And as the trade deadline approaches, don't be surprised if the Sacramento Kings, long considered outsiders in superstar conversations, suddenly emerge as the team that changes everything. Because sometimes, the quietest teams make the loudest moves.